So hi, I'm JJ. I'm the president of the Queeny-Lafayette Democratic Club, and this is the meeting of the Queeny-Lafayette and Missouri River Township Democratic Clubs for February. Thank you everyone who's come tonight in person and on Zoom, and thank you to everyone watching this later on YouTube. We really appreciate you coming tonight to learn about upcoming local elections, which are so important in our community, so thank you very much. Tonight, we have two very special speakers from our community who are running for school board in the Parkway School District. And I hope that you will, after you listen to these candidates tonight, I hope that you will share what you've learned about them with your friends and family and remind them of the upcoming election on April 4th. Which is a really important municipal and school board election that is happening. These local elections have such a big impact on the daily lives of people in our community. And a lot of people don't even realize they're happening and forget to vote or aren't aware of the election to vote. So if you could please make an effort to reach out to your friends and family members and remind them of these upcoming elections and how important it is and how they impact, the schools our children attend, and the way our municipalities are run in ways that really, really impact our daily lives, that would be super helpful. So, and we're going to be inviting more local candidates to speak in March. So please feel free to attend in March as well and bring a friend. Again, our meetings are free and open to the public, and you don't have to be a member to attend, and we're always happy to have new people come. So our first speaker tonight is Tiffany Mapp Franklin, who is running for Parkway School Board in the Parkway School District out here in West St. Louis County. Tiffany, are you ready? She's joining us by
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So as Jay, how do I say your name? I want to make sure I said it right.
Oh, yes, Jay's fine, but Jay
Okay.
is my whole first name. Yeah.
I wanted to thank you for inviting me to come and speak today. I do appreciate it. I apologize that I'm via Zoom today. I'm actually at Children's with my daughter, who had an asthma attack last week and she wasn't getting better. So we thought it was best to get her seen. So we've been here, and I'm just glad you guys have this ability to allow people to join via Zoom. And I really appreciate that. So it gives me the opportunity to still have a chance to talk to you. So just a little bit about myself. I am a mother, of course, of 3 children in the Parkway School District. I have an elementary, a 5th grader, an 8th grader, and an 11th grader. And in my, since the time that my kids have been in Parkway, I have always participated in volunteering. I started out just being a library aide and volunteering in the classroom, and that moved me into leadership positions at the school within the PTO. So I eventually became PTO vice president and then PTO president. And that also opened up doors to do more in the district. I apologize if you hear beeping in the background, but I'm going to keep going over that. So I joined the Project Parkway Steering Committee. Any of you guys in the Parkway District, you know that we are currently in Project Parkway 3.0. We kicked that off on February 1st. And that is our strategic arm of the district, planning our 5-year plan. And I also was on the Equity Task Force, and we are actually using some of those recommendations from the Equity Task Force in our strategic planning for Project Parkway 3.0. So it was a natural progression to want to head into the board. I was actually appointed to Christy Klein Davis's vacant seat in June of last year. So I've been on the board for about a little over 6 months now, and it's been a great opportunity to really see all of the work that our district, our our admins, our teachers, our staff do to make sure that our students are well taken care of. I wanted to continue on the board because of the ability that of the things that I've already accomplished and the difference that I've made on the board. We are currently a board of 7 members, and we don't have a lot of diversity on that board. And I believe I bring a different voice to our board, but it's a voice that is needed in our district. I really value the fact that Parkway is very inclusive and they are very welcoming of all students and all teachers. But I also know that we need to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure we remain that way. And we can always do better. Some of the things that I really would like to see in our district is a continuation of inclusivity and diversity, especially in our teaching staff. And I also want to make sure that all of our students and our teachers are taken care of mentally and physically. So those are some of the things that I want to run for the board again. I think that's about all I have at this point. Are there any questions for me? I can probably go on a little bit more about, oh, there is one more thing I wanted to tell you about. I've also been a teacher, so I understand the stresses of teachers. I taught 6th through 8th grade math and science at a small under-resourced school in St. Louis City. And it was probably one of my most rewarding jobs, but it was also extremely stressful. And I can only imagine how teachers feel now with all of the additional things that are on their plates that they have to be aware of. And I want to make sure that our teachers are valued and they know that they're valued and appreciated for all of their hard work. I also substitute taught in Parkway between 2018 and 2020. And it was a great experience. I loved being in the classroom with the kids. I loved being able to talk with the teachers that were working around me, and it's a great environment to work in. And with that, I think I'm done, and I will take any questions you might have.
Al? Okay. Hi, Tiffany. Al Gerber. You've got a lot of people in this room, I think, who agree with your approach. But we also were people who've helped a lot of campaigns people running for office. And I'd like to hear, what actually are you doing for a campaign? Do you have any literature? Do you have any signs? What are you doing in that regard?
Yeah, thank you for that question. My website just went live today along with my donation site. It's tiffanymappfranklin.com. I also have a Facebook page where we are getting the word out. We are in the process of getting yard signs and literature that we will be sending, and postcards that we will be sending out to the community, and providing, we do plan to do some canvassing as well. So those are just a few of the things that we are planning to do within the next 40 days. We are 40 days to Election Day. So we have a lot to do in those 40 days. And those are the things that I'm planning to get out and do during these last few days.
Thanks.
I also have a team of people that are helping coordinate those yard sign pickups and canvassing events.
As an addendum to Al's question, Tiffany, do you have specific needs for volunteers in specific areas that you'd like to share with us tonight?
We can always use more volunteers. We would like to go and canvass all 4 areas of the district: north, central, west, and south. So we are always in need of volunteers that will not necessarily knock on doors, but you hang literature on the doors. If you feel more comfortable just hanging literature. I know since COVID, there's been a hesitancy of knocking on doors, and there's been a hesitancy for people to open doors to people they don't know. The other thing that I would love help in is just getting that word out, passing the email, my website along to your friends and family. Within that website, I have information about me and my background. Also, there's a link to my Facebook page and my donation page. And there's also a Google form with other ways that you can help out, whether it's on election day or it's a meet and greet at your home that you might like to host that I would attend. And then also canvassing and writing postcards.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Do we have any questions on Zoom?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Tiffany, Mapp, Franklin, for coming tonight via Zoom, especially coming from Children's Hospital. That is serious, working mom work that you are doing right now. And a lot of us in the
That's what moms do. We're getting around. And I just want to send a shout out to my fellow board member, Debbie Hopper. She is a wonderful board member. She is our vice president of the board. And it's been a pleasure the last few months working with her.
All right, well, thank you so much. Again, Tiffany Mapp Franklin is running for Parkway School Board, and the election is April 4th. All right, next up, Tiffany, if you have time, would you mind putting your website in the chat?
I already did it.
So we already took care of that? Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, and I hope your daughter feels better. Can everyone send some well wishes to Tiffany's daughter? She's muted, but she's still on the Zoom, so. Okay, so next up, also running for Parkway School Board, we have Debbie Hopper. And I want to mention, by the way, there are multiple open slots on the school board this year. There are 3 positions that are up for election this year. So you can vote for more than one candidate. So keep that in mind when you're considering candidates. Okay. Deborah Hopper, would you like to come up and speak? Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the invitation. And Tiffany, thank you so much for your pleasant comments and thoughtful comments. I appreciate that very much. And I can reciprocate the shout out to Tiffany. I was on the board at the time that we had to go through the appointment process. And Tiffany was an outstanding candidate at that time. And as she mentioned, she does bring the diversity that we've been hearing from our community that we wanted and that we did feel on our own from our school board that it was important that we get that diversity, but not only the diversity, her intellect and her caring. And so just a huge shout out. We're very happy that she's with us and wish her all the best in her re-election as well. I have been serving on the Parkway School Board now. I'm finishing my 9th year, my 3rd term. I have decided to go ahead and run for re-election again for my 4th term. When I originally decided to come on to the school board, it was because of having actually attended the school board meeting and understanding and actually seeing some of the decisions that were being made at that meeting, and just was very compelled by some of the decisions that were being made. And my husband and I had just decided to send our first child to Parkway, and it became very obvious to me how important it was, the people that were sitting at that table making decisions for my child's future. So I felt very strongly about not initially getting onto the board, but getting involved in the school district, getting to know things. So I became very active in my son's school at the time, Claymont Elementary, and West Middle School and West High School. And so he is a now 2020 graduate of West High. And we also have a freshman daughter at West High as well. So for the last 9 years, my children have enjoyed me being on the school board. They've enjoyed it, and I very much have enjoyed and seeing the impact of the decisions that we're making on our board. And so I have become very active in wanting to do the important work. I think one of the important, Tiffany mentioned a lot of wonderful things about her time on the board. I think what's important to get my message out is, that saying that says, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. So that's me. I care, and I have grown to care more and more about this district and the people in it and our students. We've been hit with a lot of challenges over the years, and we have to remember we serve every student in our district, and so it's important that who you're electing to the school board not be elected because of think that they're trying to come on the board to serve their own agenda. We have to serve the agenda of every single student that comes to our school. In public schools, we have to serve all, and that's our mission. We have to serve all. And we want our students to be capable, curious, confident, and caring individuals. We never change it. That's our mission. And we strive to do that each and every day that we're serving on our school board. So that's my big message. And I do feel that it's very important that as being on the school board, you're a team player, that you can work well together with your colleagues. We're a voice of seven, not a voice of one. And that it's also very important that we build good relationships, strong relationships with not only our constituents, but our teachers, the superintendent, the administrators. These are the individuals that we have to put our trust in to do the day-to-day work and to bring the priority decisions to us, and we have to feel that we can trust the work that they're bringing to us. But it's a collaborative effort. We have to be working as a team. It's just not working as a single individual. So I did have some cards on the table. Feel free. I have a Facebook page, Debbie Hopper for Parkway. And so if there's any questions or any more information about myself or my experience on the board, I'd be happy to take any questions.
If you don't mind, I'd ask some logistics. So how many spots are open? How many people are running?
Mm-hmm.
And is there somebody who's currently on the board who's not running?
We have 3 seats that are open this year. And I think most school boards have 3 positions open this year. All of our incumbents are running. Jeffrey Todd, Tiffany, Mapp, Franklin, and myself. There's a total of 7 candidates that are running this year. So that's whole. And there will be another forum. The League of Women Voters puts on a forum on March the 27th at the Welcome Center at Parkway South Middle School at 7:00 p.m. And all the candidates are invited to attend that. I know all the incumbents will be attending that as well. And that's about a 2-hour event that we receive and field questions from the audience. So that's also a nice opportunity to get to know candidates.
We've got a question on Zoom.
Okay.
Please address your views on handling bullying. Bullying.
Oh, sure. Okay. That is a horrible issue that we all are going through right now. And not only physical bullying, but we're seeing a lot of social media issues and problems with bullying. We have strong school policies, board policies, which we have just gone through an extensive review process of all of our policies, which has been an undertaking for about the last 3 years. And our bottom line is that we really do not want to tolerate bullying. We cannot tolerate bullying. We even have to address matters if they occur off campus off school time, but then the disturbance is brought into the classroom or into the school buildings. It is vitally important that we have a safe learning environment and a safe teaching environment for our students and our staff. And so that's really something that we take very seriously. We give strong messages out there. We have a strong character development program within the school district that we try to elevate our ethos and our expectations within our school district to set expectations. We also have expectations within our staff and our teachers that, you know, bullying is not tolerated, so they have to serve as good role models also, so that our students understand and see the role models that they have in the teachers, so that we have all a positive learning environment. I hope that addresses the question.
I have a question, unless the
Yeah.
person who asked about bullying has a follow-up. So my son is a 2022 Parkway West graduate, so I have experience in the district. I was wondering if you could tell me something about what Parkway plans to do to make the district more inclusive and accessible for students with disabilities and chronic health conditions. Do you have anything you could say about that?
We have a very strong program with and we're a partnering district with the special school district, and we work very closely with them as well. I also I sit on I actually chaired for a couple of years, and I'm currently the Parkway representative for the Special School District's Governing Council. So we work very closely with them to make sure that we're serving all students, including our students with physical and mental and emotional disabilities. We also, part I was going to say about that with our special school district, being very inclusive with that. And so I don't know if I'm addressing chronic health or not. Students with chronic health issues. The chronic health issues. We have wonderful staff of nurses on our school district, that we have the highest number of nationally certified nurses of any school district in the state of Missouri. These individuals have policies, they have practices in place for a variety of different issues that we know have to be addressed. We have a strong food allergy policy. We know that they handle a multitude of cases related to diabetes, epilepsy. We have paralegals that help our students with tube feedings also. So we have a very strong base of nursing staff that are very capable of taking care of our most fragile students during those times. And then we also have protocols in place, if 911 needs to be called, or if the student goes down and needs ambulance to come.
I just want to say I agree with you about the nurses. Shout out to Willis Birch, best high school nurse ever.
I agree.
But I do wonder, the district does have really great policies for students with disabilities, including the food allergy policy you mentioned. Written on paper, the district has great policies, but I'm kind of wondering what the board does to make sure those policies get implemented at the school level, like across the district.
Sure. Well, that's always communicated directly to our principals, and there are meetings that our assistant superintendent have with our principals. We also have subcommittee meetings for our student services subcommittee, that information gets disseminated in the board. The 3 members that sit on that subcommittee are the initial reviewers of the information of those policies, and we know that gets disseminated out. We also do have a health advisory committee that is comprised of a number of physicians that the district seeks out their medical expertise in certain areas. So if there is an issue with outdoor school happens to be one of the issues, and how it is an overnight program where students go for several days and do kind of a camping in a lodge type of thing. And we have a nurse that is on staff with them and travels with them, so that we make sure that they're taken care of and cared for in the appropriate manner. We have to abide by legal matters pertaining to what they can give in the way of medication versus over-the-counter kinds of medications, and a lot of the homeopathic things. They're not able to be able to do that, but those are some of the measures that we do.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
How have libraries been coping with changes from the state legislature?
The libraries, you said, with some of the books that have been.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we did have to go through our library and classrooms to take a look at seeing if any of the books that we had in our district were out of compliance with what this new regulation is. And there were about 5 books that were identified that were on the cusp of whether or not we should take them off. So the decision was made to be better safe than sorry because of the legal risk to our librarians and teachers also. So it was a very short number of books. So we did those were removed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The big concern of a lot of people, I think, are environmental issues. How is Parkway addressing the environment in 2 ways, both in the education side and in the infrastructure of the actual buildings?
And so one of the big issues is lead in water. It would be one thing that I can think of right away. Our HVAC system, they went through an entire renovation of HVAC issues when COVID hit, and we wanted to make sure that the filters and the filtration system and the HVAC systems were running properly and could do the type of filtering that needed to be done in order to do that. We do have a sustainability program where we also have had all the light bulbs in parking lots and the buildings changed out to be LED, and some of the rooms now the lights go off and it's motion detection, so we're trying to save energy that way, and we have actually received money from some of the savings programs as a result of the efforts that Parkway is doing. We also have green buses, which do not run on diesel fuel, so we're trying to be green that way. Through a variety of recycling programs and sustainability programs, we compost in the lunchrooms. South High School also has a geothermal unit that produces all their HVAC and the ventilation things that way as well. So we're trying to be environmentally aware and our footprint. And we heard students come to us saying, please don't use straws. Straws are bad for the environment. So we're getting rid of straws, we're getting rid of plastic cups, so we're very much trying to be aware because we cover something like a 60 square mile demographic within our footprint of our district. So it's a very large area, so we want to make sure that we are being responsible in the resources that we're using.
You know how many students Parkway has?
How many students total? A little over 17,000 right now. So that fluctuates, but it's in the range of just over 17,000.
Can I just quickly repeat the question that Al had asked Tiffany earlier about your campaign and what you're doing on the ground?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, as you see, my handbills are printed, and I have those. I have my Facebook page, so if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, feel free to do a chat on my Facebook page, and I can get in touch with you. I do have my yard signs, and so when we're ready to get those out, if anybody would like to have a yard sign and put that in their yard, I'd welcome that opportunity. I'll make sure that those get to you. If there is anyone that would like to do electioneering on the day of Election Day on April 4th, that would be greatly appreciated. I provide you with some of my handbills. If there's one thing in 9 years of being on the school board, the one thing I've learned is sometimes people show up to these polls and they have no idea even what's on the ballot or who's on the ballot. And sometimes people will say, well, I voted for you because you're here. I'm like, well, thank you. So it's very important that that we be at the polls and we get that information out as much as possible. And, any opportunity that anybody would like to have to help volunteer to get signs out or put a yard sign in your yard would be greatly appreciated.
Do you have any other questions in the room or on Zoom?
I did want to share, Tiffany was kind enough to respond to the earlier question about bullying. We have policies on bullying that all schools use. If a child is being bullied, then the first step is to go to the teacher or grade level principal. After that, if the issue is not resolved, then it can be elevated so that the district administrators can ensure the schools are resolving the issue.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And Tiffany, I just wanted to give you an opportunity, since you are still in the Zoom. Was there any other comment you wanted to make about the questions that were asked?
I was able to hear some of the questions, not all, and I tried to answer some in the chat. So there was a comment about ensuring inclusivity with our special ed students or students with IEPs.
That was actually my question. So what I had said was, what I had asked was what Parkway is doing to ensure that the schools are inclusive and accessible for children with disabilities and chronic health conditions.
Okay, yes. So I wanted to respond to that with the fact that I do have a student with an IEP and another student with a 504 plan. I believe that our district has been and continues to be a great value as far as providing the resources that students need to be successful in the classroom. That could come with various accommodations for those with IEPs. That could, depending on what that IEP is for, that could be getting that student more generalized in the more general population so that they are part of the classrooms and not pulled away for most of the day. And then those with 504 plans, depending on what those issues might have been to require that. There are all kinds of accommodations that we make. I will say that the IEP is federally mandated, and while the 504 plan is mandated, but it does not come with additional resources. But even though it doesn't come with additional resources, all of our schools make the accommodations that are needed for our students to be successful.
Do you know to what degree the schools are participating in the child fine provision of 504?
Say that again?
Do you know to what degree the schools are participating in the child fine provision of 504, which requires districts to find children who may be eligible for 504 plans and notify their families of that?
That's a question I do not know. Debbie, who has been on the board a little bit longer, she might have additional information on that. Debbie, do you have a comment on that? I do know I just sat in with our student services subcommittee, and this was one of the topics that did come up, was our 504 plan and the ability to make sure that students are aware of those things. A lot of times they're actually looking at determining who is the best person to be the caseworker. Right now in our district, most of the caseworkers are the assistant principals. But in most cases, it's the nurses that are identifying many of these 504 plans in particular. So, but parents are able to request a 504 plan, and most nurses know the students that should have a 504 plan. Many of our PTOs in our schools often have presenters that speak about IEPs and 504 plans to make sure our parents are informed about these different resources that we have.
I'm sorry for my lack of knowledge, but I don't understand what is a 504 plan.
So a 504 plan is similar to an IEP, but it's based on a medical or physical, I don't necessarily want to say disability, but condition that does not go up to the level of an individualized education plan.
Okay.
So some of the diagnoses that might be part of a 504 plan, but may not be part of an IEP are things like asthma or diabetes or some forms of mental illness like anxiety, things of that nature, which might not rise to the level of an IEP, but still require or need additional accommodations to make sure that the student is successful.
Thank you.
Those 504s and the IEPs are shared with the teachers and the building principals, and we're really trying to make a better effort at the building principals, knowing every student that has an IEP. The IEP is an individualized education plan, which is very intensive written documentation of committee of parents and special educators, the assistant principals and the principal, well, sometimes principal, that help to make the accommodations for the students in the classroom. The 504, as Tiffany said too, it would be accommodations for a lot of health, food allergies is another thing. I have a daughter with food allergies and she has a 504, which mainly helps to identify accommodations that they have to ensure that students can still receive their education but have certain accommodations. So for example, with a food allergy, there might be in a home economics class that if you're allergic to tree nuts or sesame, you don't use those products in the foods that you're cooking in that class at that time. So those are the accommodations that are done for that. The other comment I'd like to make is we have a very strong PACCD, which is a Parents Advocacy Group for Children of Disabilities. That group meets on a regular basis, I'd say like every 2 or 3 months, but they are strong, maybe they're even meeting monthly at this point. But that's a very strong supportive group for parents who have children with disabilities that want to come together and are very supportive, kind of a support group, you know, talking back and forth about how things are going in a particular school or how to handle a difficult situation, or, you know, helping them to provide resources to one another as well. So that's another resource that I just adds as well.
Thanks for coming back up to what you said before. Thank you both so much for answering some of our very nerdy questions. This is that kind of club, so we appreciate it. All right, do you have any more questions for either of our candidates? All right, well, thank you so much, Tiffany, Mapp, Franklin, and Debbie Hopper, for coming tonight to our meeting. We really appreciate it, and we hope we're going to be posting this to YouTube, so anyone here in person or in the Zoom, if you know somebody in the Parkway School District who's interested in learning more about this election, please do check our website, check our Facebook page. We're going to be putting this meeting up on YouTube later so that people can view these speakers and learn more about this upcoming election. All right, thanks again to our speakers this evening. Next up on the agenda, we have a committee report from the 2nd Congressional District Committee from Al Gerber. Al, are you ready to give that?
Sure. Great, as many of you know, we have a 2nd District, Congressional District Democratic Committee, and we've been active in the last couple of years, getting more active. And one of the things I wanted to mention, well, first overall, our main goal, of course, is to make the 2nd Congressional District Democratic District, flip the seat. That's our main goal, but also how you do that, you have to do it district by district, state district by state district. And so we have kind of both levels of goals that we're working on. But one of the projects we're working on right now is to build up our online advertising capability. And we've done a lot of the technical work to do that, and we have some actual content, some actual advertisement prepared, and we want to prepare some more. Our main effort in the next year is going to be funding for that. We have a plan right now that involves $1,000 a month for the next 12 months. That would allow us to reach about 1 million pairs of eyeballs online. So that's, well, it's more than the number of voters we have in the district, so we reach some people more than once. But that's our project that we're starting to work on. I'll probably be telling more about it later and reaching out with some emails to say what we're doing. If anybody would like to help us out with that, we'd appreciate it very much. If anybody would like to make a contribution with that, our treasurer is sitting here behind me. He'll be glad to tell you how to do that. But also any help with the content, with ideas on what we can put out there to let people know what good things Democrats are doing and contrast it with the other side. So just wanted to let you know about that plan. I'll be reporting more about it going forward.
Al,
Any questions?
yeah. Do we have any thoughts on potential candidates?
Haven't heard yet. Haven't heard. Deb, have you heard anything? Just that you might have heard something up in Jeff City?
I haven't.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Committeeman Al Gerber, for that report. And if you know someone who would be a great candidate for U.S. Congress in the 2nd Congressional District, please send them to our township meeting. We'd be happy to train them. All right, and I just want to recognize, by the way, that we do have State Representative Deb Lavender in the audience today. Thank you so much for coming. That's who Al was talking to, just down for everyone on the Zoom. All right, so next up we have a Democratic Central Committee report from Committeeman John Judy.
So a couple pieces of news that came up at the last committee meeting. Chairman Michael Butler of the State Democratic Party resigned effective, I believe, the end of the month. There's going to be an election to pick a new chair and vice chair for the state party on the March 18th meeting, hopefully. That's going to be a big change for the party. We'll see what comes out of that. Gala is starting to get ramped up. Tickets, there's going to be tables of 10. It's going to be at Leuna.
Which gala, John?
The Central Committee, the St. Louis County Central Committee Gala.
Yes. That would be the biggest fundraiser of the year for the St. Louis Democratic Central Committee.
Yes, there's already information on the website. about the Central Committee Gala. It's going to be on Saturday, July 15th, starting at 6. We're still finding speakers and honorees for that. And like I started to say, it's going to be at the Leuna Event Center again, same place it was last year. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got our new executive director for the Central Committee, John, who's been kind enough to come to our meeting today as well.
Would you like to come say hi to the people on Zoom?
Yes.
And introduce yourself?
Well, my name is John Bosch. I am the new executive director for the St. Louis County Democratic Central Committee. It's a mouthful. The business card goes on and on. But I'm glad to be here. The last 4 years, I did 19 projects in 12 different states. Really just living out of hotels, bouncing around. My expertise is in field, in building projects really quickly, getting them up and going. One of my favorite projects was actually working against Prop A here in St. Louis. I ran 140 canvassers a day out of an office in Delmar that originally was supposed to have just 60 people in it. And we drove Claire McCaskill's staff nuts because we filled the alley behind and on the right side, all the L shape around her office, launching 140 people. You can imagine how many cars it took. But it was a blast. I totally enjoyed that. But I'm glad to be back here. Sam Page has stepped up and he's going to help the party really build. And I'm really happy to be working closely with him. And Nelson Mitten is giving me a lot of good direction too. So I'm really glad to be back in my hometown and you know, not living out of the hotels and all that stuff, although that was kind of fun. And I got a ton of reward points, so I can't wait to use those. You know, I've got a lot of plans, and the committee is listening, and we're working through some ideas. And you know, one of the things we are going to be doing is we're going to knock doors Saturday, if you're available, at Grants View Library at 1 o'clock. We are going to do training on canvassing. I called it canvassing in our comfort zone because some people, you know, are still following COVID protocols. One of my first projects after COVID shut us down in Ohio, I got sent out to Montana and had to learn an entire new system so that we could continue doing the kind of work that we did. But we did it all using COVID protocols. 6 foot distance between everybody. We literally boxed everybody off, made them sit in seats that were measured out, and we followed these protocols very closely. I'm proud to say that nobody ever got sick in my office. Not to say they didn't go and party afterwards, because they did, and they got sick and they couldn't come in. But there are ways that you can do this to feel comfortable, feel safe, and still be effective. So we're going to have those conversations, and we're going to build the townships up. That's my #1 goal, is really get people in the seats, talking and building community, because you know, we're pretty much the dominant force here in St. Louis County. And we just need to start pulling people in and getting them to listen, and then we'll go from there.
You said this Saturday?
This Saturday, 1 o'clock, Grants View Library, just off Graveway Road, across from Grants Farm.
Anyone who wants the link to sign up for that, I've got it. I can send it to you. Just ask me, and I will send it your way.
Yeah, you can go to mobilize.us and then just search for St. Louis County Dems, and you'll find that event. Mobilize.us. Questions, comments, smart remarks?
Oh, thank you, John, for coming and also for coming up to speak without notice. We appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, well, that concludes our agenda for this evening. I want to thank our speakers again so much for coming out tonight. Thank you to Debbie Hopper and Tiffany Mapp Franklin. Tiffany phoning in from the hospital was the real MVP of the evening, I think. So if any of you are interested in volunteering for their campaigns, please do visit Tiffany's website or Deborah's Facebook page. Those did get sent out in the email, to our email list advertising tonight's event. We'll also make them available on our Facebook page. And again, I just want to remind everyone, please, 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 we want to keep our local elections in the minds of our friends and neighbors, running up to April 4th. These are non-partisan elections. We're a Democratic club, but we want to invite these non-partisan candidates to speak. We think these are really important elections in our community, and we want to help educate our friends and neighbors about the candidates who are running for re-election, who are running for new elections. So please do spread the word about the elections on April 4th. Drag somebody to the polls with you and make them vote. All right, that's it for tonight. We'll go ahead and break out into sessions for the separate township clubs. And thank you so much, John, for running the Zoom tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We really appreciate it.